Are your family's holiday traditions too perfect to change? We thought so too until this salad earned a place at our Christmas Eve table. I'm Erin from wellplated.com, and let's hang out while we make the perfect beet salad. Christmas Eve dinner is our family's fancy meal, and it is no exaggeration to say that we have served the same dishes for 2 decades. Creamy corn crab bisque, beef tenderloin, cheese souffle, cheesy potatoes, cheesecake. These dishes are cemented in family tradition. So it was no small feat when this beet salad worked its way onto the menu. I am going to be telling you all about how that came to be, but first, these beets need to roast, so I'm going to get going on those. Tip, if you put a piece of parchment paper over your cutting board, that will protect it from the beets juices. It'll keep your kitchen from looking like a crime scene. I have 2 pounds of beets here. That's usually about 2 bunches, depending on the size of your beets. I'm trimming off the root and then the top. Don't throw this away. Beet greens are delicious. They are super nutritious for you, and they are very quick cooking. I will be chopping these up later with our dinner and then saute them with a little garlic and olive oil. Once I have the top and bottoms trimmed, I am putting the beets whole into a baking dish, and I'm going to wait to peel them until after they are roasted. I have peeled beets every which way, and forget messing with a peeler while they're still raw. It is a disaster and a mess. Easiest way is absolutely to roast the beets first. Trust me on this. I'm just using a regular 9x13 casserole dish here. Any dish you have that'll hold the beets comfortably is great. And then I'm going to pour enough water into the bottom to form a thin layer. This will help the beets steam and roast more evenly. Some of these beets are larger, some of them are smaller, and if the small ones finish first, you can just pull those out and keep roasting the larger ones. Cover the pan. This will help the beets steam while they roast and cook through evenly. And now I'm going to pop it into the oven at 400 degrees. The little beets will finish in about 40 minutes. Larger ones can take an hour or up to an hour and 15. The beets just came out of the oven and are cooling. I have the coolest tip to show you for how you peel them the easy way. And while that happens, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about my family's Christmas Eve. My Grammy made Christmas Eve dinner the event of the year. She has multiple sets of china, Christmas china, that she trades out and rotates between. There is more pieces of gold leaf silverware than I can count. This is where I learned the whole start at the outside and work your way in tip of silverware etiquette when you're overwhelmed at a fancy dinner. And doing dishes takes well over an hour, but anyway, I digress. Right now, I am whipping together the balsamic vinaigrette. I love balsamic and roasted beets together. It's a really, really beautiful pairing. The typical ratio for most vinaigrette recipes is 3 parts vinegar and, 3 parts oil and 1 part vinegar. My personal preference is to get it closer to 50-50. I like my dressing to have a little bit of pow. This particular dressing actually leans a little bit heavier on the balsamic vinegar. That is because roasted beets and arugula, the green that we're using for this salad, are pretty potent ingredients. We need a dressing that has the pizzazz to really stand up to them. I also added a little bit of honey for balance, Dijon mustard for a little more zip, and some garlic. Just whisk it all together. I mean, seriously, how easy was that? I don't know why people think it's challenging to make homemade dressing. In addition to the fancy china, so many things added to the aura of this special meal. My Grammy always has a huge floral centerpiece. There is a giant bay window right next to the dining room table where I used to sit and look out and watch for Rudolph's nose when I was a kid. Everyone opens a pair of shoes as the first gift of Christmas. And of course, we have all of the rich food. We've got our cheesy potatoes, that creamy bisque, and after about 2 decades, I decided that my family needed a salad. Right now, I am peeling the beets for our salad. You know that they're done roasting when you can take a thin knife like this and it just inserts, boop, super easily into a beet. These are perfect. And to peel them, you just use a paper towel, wrap it around, and then rub the skins away. It is such a cool tip and such a time saver. Look at that. Every now and then you might have a little bit of the skin that is stubborn and sticks. Not a big deal. You can use a paring knife to trim that away when we dice these. Just make sure you don't do this in a white shirt. Believe me, I have learned the hard way. Perfect. I didn't even have any that stuck. Now we are ready to cut the beets and assemble the rest of our salad. Once again, I'm going to be calling in our friend parchment paper to protect my cutting board, and I am doing a double layer just to be safe. And now I'm going to cut up our beets. You can cut them into big wedges if you really want to hammer home the beet presentation. Personally, I think a dice is a little bit easier to eat, and that's always helpful. And I also like that once we cut the apples, it keeps all the ingredients about the same size, and that makes for a really beautiful presentation. And presentation matters at the holidays, right? An important point is that the beets are still warm right now. I'm gonna be adding the dressing over the warm beets, and because they have some temperature to them, that is going to allow the beets to better absorb those wonderful flavors in our vinaigrette. This salad definitely takes a little bit more time to make than your typical salad, but that is part of the reason that I love it for a holiday meal. It looks absolutely gorgeous with the red beets contrasting with the arugula and our white creamy cheese. And that kind of special extra care is what makes the holidays so special in the first place. For me personally, it has been so incredible to be able to bring this salad to our family's meal. My Grammy has worked so hard for years to give us so many beautiful memories, and for me to be able to bring a beautiful dish that is worthy of the dinner that she creates for us is just one of the greatest ways that I know how to show my love. I have to be honest, I hated beets for years, but that was because I had not tried them roasted. It is a complete game changer. They taste caramelized and sweet. My family is not typically super into salads, but they love this one. Check out this magic. My cutting board is clean. I'm gonna add about 2/3 of the dressing right on top of our beets. We'll save the rest for the end when we check and see how much dressing the salad still needs. The beets are going to absorb all of this stellar flavor from the balsamic, that little bit of Dijon. This salad is something special. Another addition that I really like to add to holiday salads is a crisp apple. If you wanted, you could swap it out for some crisp pears. You could do a mix of pear and apple, totally up to you. I'm adding 5 ounces of arugula. This is a great big salad, so it is perfect for a holiday party. Now we have our yummy mix-in, so I'm adding cranberries, and I'm gonna save just a little bit to sprinkle decoratively on top of the salad. Some pistachios. Do yourself another favor, buy these already shelled, roasted, and salted. Such a time savings. I'm gonna reserve a little of these for sprinkling on top too. And last, but definitely not least, our goat cheese. This creamy, tangy cheese is such a fantastic pairing with the crisp apples and the earthy beets. If you or someone in your family is not into goat cheese, you can swap it for feta. That is a really nice substitution. You also can just leave it off entirely if cheese is not your thing. All right, I'm going in. We're gonna toss the salad and then assess where we are with our dressing. Initially, it looks like a ton of arugula, but just keep going and have faith. What happens is the goat cheese starts to break down a little bit and it coats the arugula and makes this salad a little bit creamy. It's still bright and fresh, which is nice to break up a more decadent holiday spread, but it still has that richness and specialness that the holidays deserve. Really dig down in there so that you get those beets off of the bottom and then bring them up with the dressing. Our salad looks pretty nicely dressed. There is a very light amount of dressing. I'm gonna add a titch more, but if you're in doubt, I would honestly pause. I cannot tell you how many times I have thought that a salad was dry only to add too much dressing and have it end up being mushy. If you do go overboard, don't worry about it. Another tip is that you can keep some extra arugula in your refrigerator, and then if you go a little overboard on the dressing, just toss a few handfuls of fresh arugula in, it will balance out. Sprinkle on the rest of our pistachios, the rest of our cranberries. They add a nice chewiness and tang. And then of course, the goat cheese. It's not allowed to be the holidays without cheese. It's not. I also love waiting to sprinkle the goat cheese on until the end because then you have those pretty white bits that contrast with the green of the salad and the red of our roasted beets. I love tradition, and this beet salad proves that new traditions can have a place right beside the old. If you are looking for more stellar holiday sides, do not miss my cheesy pineapple casserole. It is dynamite, especially if your family serves ham. Now that is well plated.